have less than 10 employees, and 95 have less than 100 employees. So that is a significant number of small and medium-sized businesses, and those small and medium-sized businesses and enterprises make up the supply chains for larger businesses. So according to the SBA administrator, every hour another small business is closing during the pandemic. Pandemic is still going. Hopefully we're on the upswing and we won't have to worry about that as much anymore in the future. 67% of SMBs fail to survive a cyber breach. And that is quite a large number, and especially since cyber breaches are so common, whether it is breaching customer data or someone clicks on a phishing email or something along those lines. It's just it's reputational damage on top of losing your customers' data. 56% of organizations suffered a breach caused by a third party. That is extremely important for not only small and medium-sized businesses, but also larger businesses who small and medium-sized businesses make up their supply chain. And 3.92 million is the average cost of a data breach, which is quite expensive. So I'll just move on to the next slide.
And Leslie, one quick question now that I see the slide here. Mm-hmm. So this average cost is for any kind of business, right? Also including the big ones, or is it just for small
it's
ones?
not just focused on small.
Okay, because I was like, wow, it's business. So much.
Yeah, most small and medium-sized businesses would just go under if they had to deal with that. So, but it's very expensive, or but good call. So here's just a little bit of background on the Cyber Readiness Institute. We were created by a group of senior leaders of global companies and value chain partners that were called together under the Obama administration to basically come up with a cyber plan. And from that, the plan that they created for the administration, they saw some gaps and they wanted to follow up and really focus on providing accessible and free information for small and medium-sized enterprises. And it's really great because we have these amazing partners, MasterCard, Microsoft, PSP, the Center for Global Enterprise, Principal, ExxonMobil, and GM. All of those companies give us the funding to then be able to provide small and medium-sized enterprises free resources, which is really great. They're extremely supportive, and they are focused on small and medium-sized enterprises, again, because they make up the supply chain for these larger companies. So when the small companies leading up to these larger companies are cyber secure, everyone is a little bit more cyber secure. So as I mentioned before, the CRI approach focuses on human behavior, and we focus on 4 core issues: authentication, patching, phishing, and USB and removable media use. So not just USBs, also like, I don't know, sticking any sort of CD player or anything like that into your USB port, using an SD card or anything along those lines. Anything that's foreign that you're sticking into your computer falls under that. Incident response and resilience, which means if you are breached or you have a suspected issue, what is your plan after that? And all of our guidance and tools can be found at becyberready.com or the cyberreadinessinstitute.com. That's where our program and remote work resources are all found, and they're all free and available for anybody to use. So the goal of our program and all of our resources is to create a cyber ready culture. And by doing this, you need to dedicate a cyber leader within your organization to drive this execution. CRI not only has our members that input or gives us input, but we also have our small business advisory group, which ITC is a member of, which is great because all of the members of that group work with small and medium-sized enterprises and are able to give us feedback on how our program is working, and also if there's anything that is of particular interest based on current events and things like that. So it's really great, and we really appreciate all of the support and help we get from that group. So I'll just dive into the 4 core issues for cultural change real quick. Passwords, 99.9% of account compromise attacks can be prevented by MFA. MFA is multi-factor authentication, which most of you probably know what that is, or maybe you've heard of dual factor authentication. Basically, that is having one step in addition to your strong password or passphrase to get into your account, which is extremely important, especially if you maybe don't have the strongest password or your password was compromised. Then this extra layer lets you double check to make sure your account is a little bit more secure. So a little bit about passwords. They don't have to be like extremely long, complicated phrases, but we recommend 12 to 15 character passphrases, which is a sentence, a memorable sentence, or a string of words that makes sense to you. And you can replace a number or a letter with like a 0 with an O or anything along those lines to make it a little bit better. Another interesting stat around passwords is that 17% of people use their favorite sports team and current year as their password, which you would kind of think, oh, this doesn't matter. I don't have a favorite sports team. Who would know what my favorite sports team is? In reality, if you have social media of any sort, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, anything along those lines that tells the public where you're based, or if your email signature has where you're based, the hacker may or may not know that you are a sports fan, but if based on this percentage, that's kind of a high percentage number for hackers to be able to go in and say, hey, this person's from New York. I bet they might like the Yankees. And then they can take the year and then just go through the password crackers now are absolutely amazing. The things that people can do with just a simple computer is really impressive. And the algorithms that are out there to go through and try to crack your password, it's insane. So just based on social engineering and things like that, try to avoid making your password anything that could be attributed to you or where you're from. Don't use your anniversary, your birthday, your graduation year, anything along those lines. And then 12 to 15 characters based on the accounts that you're trying to use. The next issue and focus that we'll cover are software updates. Over 60% of breaches in 2019 were linked to a vulnerability where a patch was available but not applied. I'm sure most of you remember WannaCry from a few years ago that more or less shut down hospitals, shipping companies, all of that. And that was due to, I believe it was a Windows 10 vulnerability that was not patched by most of those companies. And it just caused a lot of issues. It was a ransomware attack, so people were having to pay ransom or lose their information. And that kind of brings me to another point, which is backups are extremely important. So if for some reason you are experiencing a ransomware attack or your systems are not able to be updated, something along those lines, you could at least always have a backup so you don't have to worry about paying that ransom. It just gives you a lot of extra wiggle room there. And that's part of your incident response plan that you would cover if you were to go through our program. And then phishing, everyone knows what phishing is. We've all gotten those emails that are a little bit more recognizable than some others, but hackers in general are really good at making phishing emails look legit. In general, try not to click on links. I know that if there's an email that's sent to you that has some incorrect language, those are pretty easy to spot. But let's say your bank kind of out of nowhere sends you an email that asks you to reset your password that you did not ask for. Don't click on that link. When in doubt, go to your bank's official website, log in there, double check, and probably change your password from there just in case. 91% of all cyber attacks start with a phishing email. Makes sense. because hackers are really good at writing phishing emails, and it's really easy to get people to click on links or download attachments, just because they're really good at making things look legitimate. And then 81% of companies that fell for a phishing attack lost customers. Again, that's kind of a reputational thing. If your customers know that your employees are used to clicking on links and things like that, and they find out that you were breached, then they're gonna probably not go back to you. So phishing, extremely important. And there are resources out there to help you train your employees and employee base on phishing. There's some big name companies out there that you could take a look at. And then for USBs and removable media use, 8 out of 10 companies use non-encrypted USBs from like conferences and things like that. It's great to get free stuff, but you never know really what is on those USB devices, especially if they've got the little logo from whatever company is giving it out to you. You don't know how many hands that USB has been through before it's gotten to you. So if possible, try to buy encrypted USBs and make them more or less one-time use devices. So from your computer to someone else's, and then get rid of it. Try not to put it into somebody else's computer and then back into yours. Just keep it one way. But it's not generally a concern, but it is something to be aware of. And there's a lot of things that can be loaded onto those that you don't want on your computer. So this kind of just goes back over the Cyber Readiness Core 4. Again, authentication, patching, phishing, and USB use. If you have those core 4 issues covered and have a plan and a policy around each of those for your business, you are already 90% of the way there to being a totally secure. No organization is totally secure, but moving in the right direction to be a secure organization, or at least be cyber ready. So there are preventative measures and practical incident response plans that you can create by going to our website and walking through that. So our program is 5 stages. Again, starts with a cyber readiness leader. So that is you, or you can designate someone in your organization, or you could go to your CEO if you're not a CEO and ask, hey, I saw this presentation. We don't exactly have a cybersecurity plan in place. I think this sounds like an interesting thing to do, and I think it'll really help protect our business. So anyone who has a little bit of influence within a company or is interested in becoming a cyber leader within their organization can use this program. It's very fundamental, and it gives you a lot of really great step-by-step type programs, or step-by-step processes to walk through. So once you've designated your cyber leader, or you've decided you're going to be a cyber leader, then we can start the program, learn about the core key issues: authentication, patching, phishing, and USB use. I sound like a broken record, but those are extremely important. Prioritize what you want to protect within your organization. Establish baseline metrics. So let's say your most prized possession is your financial information. Most companies, that would be the case. But decide what it is that you want to protect the most for your company. Make sure that has the strongest password, and you have steps to protect that, whether it is just making sure only certain people have access to it, so on and so forth. Decide what's important and then create plans around that. And then for establishing baseline metrics, we have some tools that can help you do that and help you walk through basically just how to set that and then how to remeasure down the road. Agree and commit, assess and modify the policy templates that are available, develop an incident response plan from the templates that we provide you, and then you can roll out all of the cyber readiness program to your workforce. We give you tools to help train your workforce and how to communicate these core 4 issues to them. And you can distribute a workforce commitment letter that makes people verify that they have heard all of the policies that you have in place. Measure success. redo the baseline metrics again to see how well your company is doing or how well you think your company is doing. In the next couple of weeks, we're also going to be releasing a cyber leader certification, which is just our cyber readiness program with one added step, not added step, but it's more in detail. So that's coming down the road if you go through the program and you're like, yeah, this was awesome, I want to learn more. So just keep an eye out for that. Sorry, my computer is not wanting to change. There we go. All right. So human behavior is the key to security. Cyber readiness is all about people and their behavior. In general, make sure you're communicating with your team, like when you're creating these policies that the program would walk you through. Let's say you're trying to develop a password policy and you require the passwords to be 15 characters, but the emails that you guys use only allow for 11 characters or 9 characters. Just make sure that you're communicating with your teammates about what is actually possible and realistic. Let's say you have to use USBs for transferring information. If you make a policy that says absolutely no more USBs, you're going to run into issues because people are just going to find ways to work around it or just not care about your policy and not follow it, which then opens you up to more risk. So again, embed cyber readiness into how each person does their job, develop good cyber habits, create a culture of cyber readiness within your organization. Creating practical policies, again, kind of what I mentioned before, communicate with your workforce, make sure the policies that you're creating make sense and allow people to still do their job while being cyber secure. And that is it.
Okay.
So if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Great, Leslie. I have a question, but let's see if anyone else wants to talk first. Maybe Mahmoud, you have questions?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yes.
No, no.
Now we cannot.
There.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. All right, thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure to join today at this wonderful event. And we learned a lot of things from this presentation. And well, it's very true that at this moment, the cybersecurity or the cyber attack or the cyber issues is very important right now, because people during this pandemic is very much used to with the digital device. They are using their mobiles, they are using their desktop PCs to work from home, and also they are using a lot of medias to pass their times. So it's a very very interesting subject and also very important topics at this moment to discuss, and we need to ready for this. So I'm very much glad, and I want to offer you that if you have any option or chance to have an joint program with our association in Bangladesh, then I think it will be very nice, because we have 1,500 members who are actually the entrepreneurs, and they are using their business through e-commerce. So I think they need to know more about the security issues, and if they have some readiness, cybersecurity readiness training or the presentation like this, then they will get more update for their employees and for their business. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to discuss in this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mahmoud, if you'd like to reach out to me after the presentation, you can just take my email. And I believe Chris is going to send out the presentation after this as well. But we're happy to partner with other organizations. And I give this presentation quite frequently. And we have a couple others that we do as well. So if anybody has organizations that they're interested in bringing this to, just feel free to reach out.
Thank you. Thank you. I will share my email address through this chat also. Thank you.
Great, Mahmoud. And also, Leslie was speaking about the program and that you can be a leader of cybersecurity in your organization. And I think you can have another conversation, and that would be great for the organization, for sure.
Yeah, because as you know, the countries like us in who are actually living in South Asia and who are actually growing up the e-commerce platform, they need this kind of readiness right now, because this is very during this pandemic. You will be happy to know last 1 year the e-commerce growth in Bangladesh is for some companies more than 800%. So the people are very much interested and giving the order through e-commerce, and the government is also helping us to giving some opportunities to deliver the products during this pandemic through this e-commerce platform. So like today, I was visiting the Trading Corporation of Bangladesh. There we got the opportunities, 150 metric ton the sugar and the oil, the vegetable oil, delivered through the e-commerce platform. So as you see, the orders of the consumer are growing day by day. So the people, it means that people are engaging more in the digital device. So more the people engaging into the digital device, they need more security system. So thank you. I think we will discuss more about these issues. And from 2018, actually, I'm engaging with ITC some programs, and I completed 4 to 5 training program through the ITC online platform. So I really enjoy the ITC programs, and so thank you again to giving me the opportunity.
Okay, thanks a lot, Mahmoud. Leslie, I have a question. It's a bit general, but you know, like we are talking about small businesses, and normally they are constrained in their budget. So is cybersecurity something expensive for them? How much should they, you know, think about saving for all the cybersecurity measures?
So kind of as I mentioned at the very beginning, cybersecurity can be expensive if you're a large company. There are technologies that you can have in place, but having practical policies and creating a cyber ready culture with policies that make sense for these core 4 issues, phishing, patching, authentication, and USB use, that doesn't require a ton of financial investment. Adding antivirus and things like that, also great. But if you have a really constrained budget, making these practical policies is not horribly expensive. And just making sure you're educating your workforce.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. Are there any other questions? Not in the chat. I have another one. When you were talking about passwords, and it feels that it's something quite easy to change, right? Because we don't do it. We just keep the same password for a long period of time until sometimes we get this email reminder from the software system saying you have to update your password and so on. But the other day I was looking about information around this topic, and I saw these password managers that can help you update your passwords and create new passwords that are more difficult to copy. So are these password managers necessary?
They aren't necessary, but they are a huge help. They can help you have really complex, long passwords that you don't have to remember, which is great. You only have to remember the strong password that you use to get into that. So make sure that is extremely strong. But in general, there's always some level of risk associated with using any outside third-party type platform or software. So just assess your level of risk and then decide. But there's a lot of options out there. Even Google will create passwords and save it for you. Maybe not the best, but it works. And you're having a long, complex password or passphrase. And then in general, multi-factor or two-factor authentication is an absolute must on top of that.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. No more questions. Does anyone want to add anything? Also, you can also let us know about any experience you've had with cybersecurity issues.
Can I give one more question if you have
of course.
time? Okay, so the question to our presenter, Lessie, as you mentioned in your presentation that there is a lot of phishing email address come to the user. So is there any way to find out or mark or to filter this kind of mails and block them anywhere? Is there any kinds of software or methodology or something like that? It can be helpful for the employees under the organization. Thank you.
So there are things or softwares out there that can help you filter these out. Global Cyber Alliance is one of our partners, and they have a lot of information around that specifically and how to protect your email from being used as a phishing email and things like that. So I can also send that out. If you reach out to me after this, I'll send you a link to their organization. But in general, training your employees to be on a lookout for phishing emails is the best option, because you don't want to lose emails as well, because sometimes things just go to spam when they should not go to spam, and things like that. So training your employees to look out for phishing emails, like double checking emails, not clicking on links unless it's absolutely necessary and you trust who it's coming from, not wiring money unless they've confirmed via phone or in person, walking down the hall and talking to someone to confirm something that was sent or maybe not sent from them is the ideal way to do it. So training is important.
Regarding this issue, I was told the other day to check, my emails in this tool, which is called "Have I Been Pound?"
Oh, yeah, that's for passwords.
Yeah,
so you can go put your email in and then see which passwords have been breached. So then you also know not to use those passwords again.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, okay, my email has been breached. I have to modify the password. And I did that, and I found it very useful. So maybe you can have a look at that also. Okay, great. So I think we're done for today. We will share all the resources later with you, the presentation, the recording, and these links that Leslie has talked about. And if you have any issue, there is a group on Ecom Connect where you can ask questions, and Leslie and her team will be there to reply and help you with any issue you have. Thanks a lot, Leslie. I don't know if you want to add anything else before we close.
No, I really appreciate being able to present to everyone who's on this call. And again, feel free to reach out either through Ecom Connect or through my email. I think you can probably find both on Ecom Connect.
Perfect. Have a good day, everyone, and be safe and make your businesses safe as well. Ciao.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time today. Thank you.
Thanks, Mahmoud.
Thank you.